So remarkable SaaS business stands out and scales up across 3 different stages. These are the 3 things that I discuss in my book. There's traction foundation, there is traction momentum, and traction resilience. In my book, I actually talk about the value lever, the viability lever, and the volume lever, but at the end, they come down to the same principles. Now, you see also on the right-hand side, you see a bar that is about, okay, the typical business, and then you see what happens when you are applying these concepts to your business when it becomes a remarkable business. And then, of course, there's a big effect between that. That's why my book is called The Remarkable Effect. What you can see with those companies that are in that remarkable mantra, they have more focus, they create more fans, they have more margin, they create more velocity, all of these type of positive things. Where the typical ones, they are trying to focus on more TAM, total addressable market. They solve a lot of problems by adding more people to the business. They attract, of course, they sell a lot of business, but a lot of that business is also very, how do you say that? It's likely to churn far faster and far more, oh my God, I'm losing the word here. More churn coming over time, the risk for churn is higher. And then last but not least, more tough conversations, because it's what I call a vicious circle. And that's my next slide. Many get stuck into this vicious circle and at the end, that is also leading towards desperately chasing funding. So why is that happening? Well, because of the things that I just highlighted on a high level. What you see is that they start off too wide. You know, the TAM is important because that's the investor relations, the discussion they have with their investors. They need to address a very big market that is, of course, growing fast. And if they only get 1 or 2% of that, they're fine. So what they're going to do is they go out to market, attract an audience that is not specifically ideal, but it's just an audience, and they get leads. And what they have to do for that is not, they don't get a lot of leads from inbound, but they have to go outbound. They have to do a lot of advertising and so on. Leads are finally going into the funnel. What that leads to is, in the sales situation, waste in pipeline, because sales now have to shift between what are the ones that I'm going after. And what you see a lot is that you cannot identify that early enough. So the waste in the pipeline is typically visible in a number of ways. Long sales cycles, low win rates, and above all, high need for discounting, the discounting wars. So what is happening then? The deals that they win, they bring in the wrong customers, and the wrong customers is not because they are in a different vertical or so on. They are in the right vertical, they're in the right overall definition. But these are the customers that can work with your functionality, but are never going to be really happy with it. So what that leads to is that these customers are going to keep moaning, first of all, during the implementation cycle. So it's harder to implement. For customer success, it's also harder to keep these customers happy and to get their first wins out there. But they're also going to moan towards R&D. This is missing, that is missing, that is missing. I mean, I've had that at hand when I was responsible for product marketing and product management at Unit 4. That your roadmap just starts filling up with all kind of feature requests of things that are okay, but if you would had a chance, you would really go and do the other things, because that is where you create your biggest fans. But because the deals are coming in, they're won through a big discount. They typically also end up, particularly in enterprise sales, with large addendums of things that need to be built into the product. I mean, at some point in time, we got a deal of about $1 million ARR, and it actually derailed my payroll department for about 1.5 or 2 years, taking out about half the number of resources. These are the things you don't want, because it was a customer that, yes, they bought it, but they were not ideal for us. What this leads to is that R&D is getting behind, and the products that you're going to release to the market are going to have less adoption. NRR is then becoming a challenge. Churn is becoming an even bigger challenge. And you end up with all kind of profitability challenges, which at the end leads to unpopular measures, because at some point, your investors, whoever they are going to see this and going to step in and say, hey, wait a minute, fix this. So that's a vicious cycle. So the question, of course, is how do you get out of that?